Life can shatter in a single moment. One careless word. One choice you can't take back. Tonight you'll hear the story of Hannah, a woman who thought she had everything she ever wanted, until doubt crept in, and she let it all slip through her fingers. What began as a love story ended in silence, regret, and a single wedding ring left behind. This isn't just about love lost. It's about what happens when we realize too late that some people were irreplaceable. Welcome to Breakup Cheater, where ordinary lives take terrifying turns, and every story hides a shadow. If you crave tales of betrayal, heartbreak, and chilling twists of fate, you're in the right place. Settle in, turn down the lights, and let the story begin. It's shocking how fast life can unravel. One moment you believe you're standing on solid ground, building something steady and secure. And then, in the blink of an eye, it all crumbles, leaving you standing in the wreckage wondering how you got here. I'm 32 years old, and tonight I find myself sitting on the edge of my old twin bed in my parents' house in Houston, the same room I grew up in. The posters on the walls are faded now, remnants of teenage idols and dreams I once clung to. My desk is still cluttered with little trinkets from another lifetime, ticket stubs, notes from high school friends, half-empty journals. The irony of it hits me so hard I almost laugh. I never thought I'd be back in this room, back to square one, sifting through old memories while trying to untangle how my choices led me here. My name is Hannah, and this is not the life I imagined. Everything started with Ethan. I met him at a housewarming party thrown by my friend Melissa. She had just moved into the kind of townhouse you see on magazine covers. Cozy but elegant, warm and inviting, a place that felt like home the second you stepped inside. And if I'm honest, the second I walked through her door, jealousy seeped into me like poison. It wasn't just the polished decor or the laughter floating through the rooms. It was everything. Melissa had what I always thought I'd have by now. A thriving career, a fiancé who adored her, and a future laid out like a perfect road. And then there was me. Still single, burned out from dating apps and meaningless conversations, secretly terrified that no one would ever truly choose me. That's when I noticed him. Ethan. He stood a little apart from the noise, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that caught the light. He didn't dominate the room, but he had a quiet confidence that drew people in. When we finally spoke, what struck me wasn't just his presence. It was his attention. He actually listened. Not like most men who wait for their turn to talk. Well, Ethan was fully there, engaged, leaning in as if my words mattered. We talked for hours that night, and for the first time in years, I felt something flicker inside me. Oh, maybe, just maybe, I'd finally found someone who wouldn't leave. And for a while I was right. Ethan was gentle, thoughtful, steady. With him I felt safe in a way I never had before. Our relationship bloomed naturally, without games or hesitation. Within a year he proposed. A year later I walked down the aisle, believing I had finally found everything I'd been searching for. But here's the cruel part. The very qualities that once felt like gifts slowly became the things I resented. Ethan wasn't reckless or dramatic. He wasn't the type to plan spontaneous trips or make big, sweeping gestures. Instead, he showed up every single day in quiet, consistent ways. He left notes tucked into my lunch. He remembered my coffee order without fail. He kissed my forehead every night before bed. First, those things made me melt. But slowly, shamefully, I began to see them as routine rather than romantic. I started asking myself dangerous questions. Had I chosen comfort over passion? Safety over spark? Was this really enough for the rest of my life? The whispers of doubt grew louder until they became a storm I couldn't ignore. And it all came crashing down at a dinner party. It was supposed to be a simple night with close friends. Good food, good wine, laughter filling the air. The conversation turned to relationships, to fate versus timing, to how you know you've chosen the right person. Someone asked if we ever doubted our choices. And before I could stop myself, I laughed. Honestly, if I had the chance to do it over, I probably wouldn't have married Ethan. The silence that followed was deafening. Laughter died. Forks paused midair. My stomach dropped. I turned to him. Ethan sat perfectly still, one hand wrapped tightly around his wine glass. His jaw clenched. His voice was quiet, but sharp enough to slice through the air. "Wow," he said. "That's good to know." The room felt suffocating. I scrambled to backtrack to laugh it off as a bad joke, but the damage was done. His eyes weren't warm anymore. They were cold, unreadable, distant. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. That night, he simply went to bed without another word. I told myself we'd fix it in the morning, that he'd forgive me like he always did. But when I woke up, his side of the bed was empty. His clothes were gone. His toothbrush missing. And on the nightstand, next to a photo from our honeymoon, sat his wedding ring. I stared at it in disbelief, my chest hollowing out. Called him, no answer. Texted, nothing. I clung to the hope he just needed time. That he'd come back once the sting wore off. But days turned to weeks. Weeks became a month. That's when I finally realized. He wasn't coming back. The worst part wasn't just losing him. It was realizing how easily he seemed to let go. While I was drowning in guilt and regret, Ethan was already moving forward. One afternoon I saw him downtown at a cafe. He was smiling, laughing, sitting across from a woman who seemed to shine in a way I never could. She carried herself with grace and self-assurance. She didn't need to demand attention. She simply commanded it. And Ethan looked at her the way he used to look at me, like she was his whole world. My chest ached as I fought the urge to run over, to beg him to remember what we had, to plead for one more chance. But I didn't, because deep down I knew. He was gone. And worse, I understood now that maybe I had never truly deserved him. Regret doesn't scream. It whispers. It creeps into the corners of your life, weighing you down until you wake up realizing you destroyed something irreplaceable. Ethan didn't leave because he stopped loving me. He left because he finally understood that I couldn't love him the way he deserved. And now, here I sit, alone in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by ghosts of my past, suffocating under the weight of my own choices. They say you don't know what you have until it's gone. But that isn't always true. Sometimes you do know. You just never think you'll actually lose it. Regret doesn't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it creeps in quietly, long after the damage is done. Hannah wanted passion, spark, something more. But in chasing what she thought she was missing, she destroyed the one person who gave her everything. And now, in the stillness of her old bedroom, surrounded by the echoes of her past, she finally understands. Ethan didn't walk away because he stopped loving her. He walked away because he knew she would never love him the way he deserved. Some losses are permanent. And some mistakes haunt you forever. You've just heard another tale from Breakup Cheater, where choices have consequences, and shadows never truly fade. If you want more stories of betrayal, revenge, and the haunting weight of regret, subscribe now and join us again under the Breakup Cheater. Until next time, sleep lightly.